What's up guys, so in this video we're going to try to hack a WordPress website. So right here I have a WordPress blog. It says Billy Joel's IT blog, and this is actually a try hack me room that is called blog, and this is free to access, so you can just try it for yourself. All you have to do is just create an account on TryHackMe and then download the VPN, connect to it, and you will be able to access and exploit this room, this machine. First things first, when I go to blog.thm, it takes me to a WordPress blog. How do I know it's WordPress? Well, I can just use this Vapalizer extension. So you can see Vapalizer tells us that the CMS is WordPress, and it also gives us the version of the WordPress. Now, we might choose to trust Vapalizer, or we might do additional checks to cross-check the version of WordPress. It says 5.0 here, but we can do some additional checks as well, which we will later in this video. But for now, we know that this is a WordPress blog, and let's go ahead and try to hack it. Let's see how a hacker or a penetration tester would go about exploiting this WordPress website. Before getting started, let me take a quick moment to thank the sponsors of this video. This video is sponsored by Springboard. Springboard is an online university that offers courses and boot camps in various computer science fields. I had the opportunity to take their cybersecurity bootcamp, and it is exactly what anyone would need to start a career in cybersecurity. This bootcamp is very well structured, ensuring that all the students are prepared to land a job in the cybersecurity domain upon completion. They also offer a job guarantee program, which means if you do not secure a job within 6 months of graduation, you get a full refund. Additionally, you also receive professional mentorship from skilled cybersecurity professionals who guide and assess your progress throughout the whole bootcamp. I've also made a full review video of this bootcamp, so if you're interested, check the link in the description below. It's awesome, and you should definitely consider this if you're looking to start a career in cybersecurity. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and enumerate all the directories of this blog to uncover any hidden directories that might be useful for us. I'm going to use fuf to enumerate the directories. I'm going to say fuf, give the URL, which is blog.thm/fuzz. So basically this fuzz keyword is going to be replaced by the keywords that are going to be loaded from the word list. So I'm going to specify the word list, which will be user share word list, dirbuster, and I'm going to use this one right here, directory list 2.3 medium.txt. So yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and this is going to enumerate the directories. So right away I see a lot of noise, so I just want to eliminate this. So let me use a filter words 1628. So it eliminates all that noise now. And soon enough, we found some interesting endpoints. For example, there's login, there's admin, there's WP content. So let's go ahead and go to admin, because that sounds the most interesting of all. Meanwhile, there's another endpoint called no. Let's try that. Wait, what's happening? Let me stop this directory enumeration, because I think that's slowing down everything. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, anyway, so this is just the link to the blog post, which is not really that interesting, but /admin redirected us to this WordPress login page where we can actually log into the WordPress dashboard. And you just need to enter the username or email address and password, but we don't have any of those. So we'll try to first enumerate the users of this WordPress website, and once we have the users, we can try and perform a brute force attack to guess the password. So the first step is to enumerate the users of this WordPress website, and I think you can do that by going to a specific endpoint. I think it's Yeah, this one, wp-json/wp/v2/users. So this is basically, it's going to send an API request and the response is going to be all the users of the website. We can either do this or we can just do a manual enumeration by going through all the posts on the blog and checking who the author is of those posts. And it's also going to display the username of the user or the author. So we can also enumerate the users in that way, but this is much easier. But if this method doesn't work, then we will go ahead and use the other method, which is the manual enumeration. So let's see. So fortunately for us, this did work, and it looks like there are two users, Billy Joel and Karen Wheeler. So we also have the username of both the users, Bjoel and Kwheel. So these are the two usernames that we will target right now. So we will perform a dictionary attack to crack the password. And I'm going to use a very popular tool called WP Scan, which is a very popular WordPress enumeration exploitation tool. And it's really good. We could have just enumerated all the users using this tool by, I think, yeah, this option right here, enumerate, and we can just send U to enumerate all the user IDs or usernames. And using this tool, you can do a lot of other stuff like enumerating the vulnerable plugins to see if they are exploitable, etc., etc. But we'll just be making use of this tool to perform a dictionary attack based on the usernames that we know, which is Bjoel and Kwheel. So we can go ahead and perform a password attack. You need to pass in the usernames list, which can either be the path to a text file that contains a list of usernames, or it can just be a single username, or it can be multiple usernames separated by commas like this. And similarly, you can pass passwords, which can be a file path to the word list that you want to use. I'm going to use the rock.q.txt word list. And then you can also set the password attack type. And currently there are like three options: WP login, XML RPC, and XML RPC multi-call. WP login is basically brute forcing the admin page, the login page that we just saw. So it's going to brute force that, but that's not really reliable because we're going to get logged out of after a certain number of tries. So we're not going to use that. Instead, we can use XML RPC, which is like an API that every WordPress website has, and you can basically send API requests to XML RPC to do various tasks. And we can actually exploit this to perform a brute force attack. We can actually keep sending different passwords in each request, and we can analyze the response that we got to determine if a particular password is correct or not. XML RPC multi-call is basically the same thing as XML RPC, but instead of just sending one password per request, we can send multiple passwords in the same request. And this is obviously much more efficient, much more easier than XML RPC, because you don't need to send multiple requests to perform the brute force attack. You can just send all the passwords in the same request, but it's usually disabled in most WordPress websites for obvious security reasons. So we are not going to use that. We're going to use XML RPC. But before we could actually use that, let's check if XML RPC is actually enabled. So to do that, I'm actually going to go ahead and say curl http blog.thm/xmlrpc.php. And it gave us a response saying that XML RPC server accepts post requests only. That's a good news, because now we know that XML RPC is actually enabled on this website. So we're going to go ahead and use XML RPC, which is also the default password attack mode when we do a password attack with WP Scan. So let's go ahead and do a password attack, right? Let me clear the screen. So I'm going to say WP Scan URL http blog.thm, and the usernames are going to be, we have two usernames, which is Bjoel and Kwheel. These are the two usernames, and then the password, I'm going to use the rock.q.txt word list, and the password attack, I'm going to use XML RPC. Although I don't need to mention this option because XML RPC is chosen by default, but anyway, we'll just do it to make the command descriptive. So I'm gonna hit enter and let's see. And I want to update. Can notice immediately is that WP scan also identified the WordPress version to be 5.0. So now we can be pretty sure that the WordPress version that is running on the server is 5.0. Anyways, so it's performing the password attack for the two users. Okay, so we were able to find the password of the user Kwheel, which happens to be QTPie1, and it took around like 5 minutes or something, 5 or maybe 7 minutes to crack the password. And we finally have the password, but we were not able to crack the password of Bjoel, but that's okay. We have the password of one user. So let's go ahead and try to log in with this. I'm gonna go back to /login or /admin. And I'm gonna log in, Kwheel, and what's the password again? It's QTPie1. I'm gonna copy this and log in. That indeed worked. Now we are inside the dashboard, the WordPress dashboard, and just at the initial glance, it doesn't look like we have administrative access over the blog. So that means we basically cannot customize or make changes to the blog. We are just an author, which means we just can make new posts, I think, and our functionality is just limited to that. So we need to do something else to gain administrative access over the WordPress website and even the machine that is actually hosting this WordPress website. So the next thing that comes into my mind is the WordPress version, which is WordPress 5.0. And this looks to be a very old version of WordPress. Let's see what the current version of WordPress is. WordPress current version. The current version is 6.5, so 5 is pretty old. So it's very likely that this version of the WordPress has some kind of vulnerability in it. So I'm just gonna do a quick Google search, WordPress 5.0 exploit. It looks like there is some kind of image remote code execution vulnerability in WordPress 5.0. Okay, let's check out this GitHub link. WordPress 5.0 image remote code execution, and we also have the CVE name here. Okay, so this looks interesting, and we can basically download and use this POC script to exploit our WordPress installation and get a shell on the server that is hosting this blog. But we can actually automate this process by using Metasploit. So let's just go to MSF console and see if there is a Metasploit module available for this particular exploit. Alright, so I'm going to search for WordPress 2019. That looks like the year this vulnerability has been disclosed. So I'm going to say date 2019, WP crop RCE, crop image shell upload. It looks similar to this exploit right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use this one. Use exploit multi HTTP WP cron RCE and show options. So the R host is going to be the remote host address, which is blog.thm. Let me set that. Set R host blog.thm. The R port, it's on the default port 80, so I don't have to change that. And then the L host is going to be our IP address, which is 10.17.83.66, I guess. You can see it on the top right corner over here. And I'm going to set the L port to 1560. And we also need a username and a password, and we have both the username and password. So let me set the username, which is Kwheel, and the password, which is QTPie1. And I think that's it. So I'll just go ahead and run this and let's see. So it says authenticated with WordPress. That's a good news. Preparing payload. I hope it works. Image uploaded. Okay, awesome. So it says Meterpreter session 1 open. Ignore all these warnings. These are just some issues with my local installation of Meterpreter. I'm gonna fix them later, but for now just ignore it. The important thing is that we got a metadata session. Okay, so we got a metadata shell. So if I go through all the commands, there are different things that I can do, but I'm interested in dropping into a shell. So I'll just type in shell, and that's going to give me a shell on the target machine. Okay, so it looks like I don't have a prompt, but I'm still inside the shell, which is okay. Actually, let's try to fix it. Let's see if Python is installed here. It is. So I'm just gonna say Python 3 import pty pty.spawn bin bash. Hopefully it works. Yep. Now we have a proper looking shell. We have a prompt and everything. That's just a simple Python trick to get a shell like this, a proper shell like this. Okay, so who am I? I am www.data, which is still not the administrator. We still do not have administrative level access to the actual website itself. So I'm going to go ahead and check this wp-config.php that might contain some juicy information. Let's go through it. We have some secure auth key. Oh, we have a database password. That's awesome. That's worth keeping a note of. This is the password that we got from the wp-config.php. So we can maybe try to see if there is a password reuse scenario over here. Let's see if we can do su bjol. The password, let me try this password over here. Okay, it says authentication failure, so that's clearly not the password. But we know for a fact that this is the password of the WordPress database. So we can actually use this WordPress password to log into the WordPress database and see the password hashes of the different users of this blog. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to connect to the MySQL database. The user is WordPress user. I'm going to take a note of this as well. Let's see, mysql-u WordPress user-p. Password is going to be this, and we are in. So show tables. How do I show the databases? Show databases, is it? Yeah, I'm going to use blog show tables. We have WP users. I'm gonna say select star from WP users, and we have two users, bjol and kvil. Now we already have the password of kvil, so we're just going to ignore that. Okay, that's all right. Let me see if this hash exists in a rainbow table. So I'm going to go to crackstation.net, paste it here, and no, it doesn't exist. So what I can do is I can just maybe just create like hash.txt, paste it, and maybe use hashcat here. Hashcat hash.txt identify to identify the hash mode 400, and it turns out that the algorithm is PH pass. All right, so let's do that. -m 400 user share whirlist rocku.txt. And now hashcat is going to try and crack the password hash by performing a dictionary attack. Okay, so we just let that run in the background. The time estimated is like around 27 minutes to go through the whole word list. So I'm just gonna let that run in the background. And meanwhile, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna exit out of this MySQL session. So I'm gonna search for like other potential privilege escalation vectors that would allow me to gain an administrative level access to the machine and to the WordPress website. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to search for all the SUID binaries. SUID binaries are the binaries that can be run by any user, but when they are executed, they are actually executed as root, as administrator. So obviously we can exploit these binaries because they are essentially running as root, so we can make them do some action that would in return give us administrative level access or root level access to the machine. So I'm going to do that by using the find command. I'm going to say find, and I'm going to search the whole root directory of the machine, and I'm going to search for all the files, not directories, and the permission is going to be S. S stands for SUID, and I'm going to redirect all the errors to def/null, and let's see. So these are all the SUID binaries that exist on this machine. So most of these are just are meant to be there. Although they are SUIDs, there is no way they can be exploited. They are meant to be SUID binaries. So we are kind of looking at an unusual binary in this list, which shouldn't be there but still exists. And immediately I say this user sbin/checker, because that's not a default binary. That's not a default SUID binary. And that's not even a Linux default thing. It looks like it's something written by the user. And that's interesting. So I am going to go and see what it does. So I'm going to run that. And it just says not an admin, and it exits the program. So it's clearly doing something in the background. It's clearly doing some kind of check in the background, and it's basically determining whether we are an admin or not. So since we are not an admin, it just did not do anything else, and it just exited. But what if we are an admin? So there is a really cool program in Linux called ltrace that's going to basically scan a binary and see what all dynamic libraries that binary is calling when it is executing. It's called ltrace. So let's try that program. Ltrace user has been checker. So basically this program is going to be executed normally, but ltrace is also going to keep a note of all the dynamic libraries that this program is using, and in that way we will kind of gain an idea of what this program is trying to do. So let's try to do that. And we have something interesting here. It's taking the environment variable admin, and it's printing out a text not an admin. So this kind of so this gives us an idea that the actual check that it is doing is it's just getting the value of the environment variable admin. It's just checking if we are an admin based on this value. So technically we can just change the environment variable right before we execute this program, and this program would get the value that we set, because it's just taking the value of the environment variable admin, right? But I'm just wondering, what is the default value of this admin environment variable? So let's just try to print that, right? Export admin. It's nothing. It's empty. So I guess what it's doing is it's checking if there exists a value for the environment variable admin, and if there exists a value, it's going to determine, or it's going to assume that we are an admin. So we just have to set this this value to something. It doesn't matter what it is. We just have to make sure that it is not empty, that it actually exists. So I'm going to say export admin equal to 1. And now we can cross check. If I just say echo admin again, we got 1. So admin is now equal to 1. It's not empty anymore. So now, since we have set the value for admin, let's try to run that ltrace program again. Let's see what happens. So interesting. You see that now it is setting the UID to 0 and it is running bin/bash. So what it's basically doing is it's running bash as root, which is awesome. That's what we want. So we can just now go ahead and run user as bin checker, and look at that, we are root. So if I say who am I am root. I am administrator on this machine. Okay, so now that we have root access on the actual machine, on the actual web server, we still do not have the administrative level access on the WordPress blog. So I kind of want to change this value, this password hash value for the user Bjoel, who is the administrator of the site. I want to change this password hash so that I will be able to access his account. And there's this cool tool called WordPress password hash generator, and you can basically generate the hash of a given plain text password. So I'm gonna just give it as password, click on generate WordPress hash, and all I have to do is just replace the existing hash in the database with this newly generated hash. So let me do that. I'm gonna say MySQL WordPress user -p. This is the password, and I'm gonna use blog show tables, make sure I'm in the right database. So select star from WP users, and I want to change this value right here. So I'll write an update statement, update WP users, set user pass equal to, and I'm going to change it to this value, where user nickname equal to Bjoel. I have no idea if this works. Hopefully it does, but let's see. Unknown column. Oh, I think that's a typo from my end. It's not nickname, it's nice name equal to Bjoel. Okay, it looks like the update is done. Let's cross check it. Select star from WP users, and this is indeed the hash that we generated. So hopefully, if I now go back to WP admin, Bjoel, and the password would be just password. Fingers crossed. Let's see if this works. And it does work. We are now an administrator on this WordPress blog. So what we essentially did is we changed the password of the user Bjoel by modifying the database directly. We just generated a hash with our own password, and we replaced the existing hash with our generated hash, and in that way we were able to change the password of this user. And now I am the administrator on this WordPress website, so that means I have completely hacked this WordPress website. So you can see I have the options of an administrator. I can basically do anything with this site. So that'll be all for this video. Hope you liked it. Hope you learned something new. If you did like this video, please do not forget to leave a thumbs up below, and also comment down in the comment section what you think about this video. If you're not yet a subscriber, please do hit that subscribe button and also turn on the bell icon to receive instant updates about my channel. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, cheers.